This is in no way my attempt to justify my comic book obsession. And this story, I really, really like. Artwork, the storytelling. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Pull List. My name is Travis. Let's talk about when conventions unfortunately fail. More specifically, Marvelous Nerd Year's Eve this past weekend in Dallas, Texas. It was a 4-day convention from December 29th to January 1st, and they brought over 40 A-list celebrities. Michael Rooker, Jason Mewes, Sylvester McCoy, with special guest star Stan Lee, and you got to ring in the new year with all these nerdy celebrities. That sounds kinda neat, right? Well, it bombed pretty badly, enough that the event coordinators, Geek Expos, are now out of business. And there have been a lot of disastrous reports, surprised at how this convention has failed, with Stan Lee as the special main star attraction. How could a convention with Stan Lee ever fail? Well, Stan Lee still goes to a lot of conventions even at his age. I've met Stan Lee and I didn't even have to leave Ohio. Yes, that's Stan Lee holding a sonic screwdriver. Geek Expos, the company that coordinated the event, predicted that over 10,000 people would show up to Nerd Year's Eve. To give you an idea of scale, about 130,000 people go to San Diego Comic-Con every year. New York Comic-Con actually set the record last year for attendees at a convention with 167,000 people. So, comparatively, 10 isn't that much. However, this is the first year that they ever tried Nerd Year's Eve. New York Comic-Con has been around for 10 years, and San Diego Comic-Con has been around for decades. They needed 8,000 convention goers to break even. About 4,000 actually showed up. But the worst situation happened on December 31st at 11:45 at night, 15 minutes before New Year's. Now, usually with something of this magnitude, the convention and the hotel reach an agreement. The hotel will sell the convention rooms for a discounted rate, provided that the convention can supply enough people to stay in those rooms. At 15 minutes until the new year, the hotel let all of the attendees know that since not enough rooms were booked, that their rooms were going to skyrocket to the higher rate. They weren't going to get the discounted rate because the convention couldn't supply the bodies to stay in more rooms. And since the guaranteed number of bookings weren't met in order for the convention to get the discounted rates on the rooms, the hotel threatened to essentially brick everyone's key cards and lock them out of their rooms. And the other thing was poor Stan Lee, who apparently gets $200,000 for a guest appearance at a convention. He usually gets $100,000 up front, which he did. But then, the second half, he didn't get for at least a couple days. Reports are saying now that he's gotten $30,000 of the $100,000 that he was owed, so he's still owed $70,000. It's just this whole big mess, because the company didn't make enough money with this convention to be able to pay for the things that were going to be at the convention, the hotel rooms, the talent. There were a lot of celebrities that were just stiffed all of their money. They didn't get any money from signatures, things like that. It's just a mess. This convention was a mess. And since Geek Expos lost so much money from this convention alone, 6 figures to be exact, they've announced that they're just going out of business. All Geek Expo employees have been laid off as of the Sunday of the convention, and all Geek Expo future events have been canceled. Which begs the question, what happened? Who is to blame, if anyone? Well, December is usually a dead period when it comes to conventions, especially in America. Other parts of the world have different calendars and different holidays, so they can pull off conventions in December, like China and Japan. But in America, December is kind of a no-fly zone when it comes to putting on a convention. People are spending money on others, people are spending time with family, etc. They just don't have the drive or the desire or the financial stability to be going to a convention in December and spending hundreds of dollars. But Geek Expos just had to try, and on paper it sounds like a neat idea. Ring in the new year with a bunch of nerdy A-list celebrities. It sounds neat on paper. But you can't just bank your attendance on the fact that Stan Lee is going to be there. Like I said, it's not hard to meet Stan Lee. And I don't think there was nearly enough marketing for this convention. I like to think that I have a pretty good handle on the conventions that are going on in America. I like to keep tabs on the big things and the up-and-coming things and the new things and the strange things. But I didn't even know about this convention until the Sunday that everything was falling apart. If the convention was in my state and I had heard about it a while ago and I made plans to possibly go, and nothing else was going on, maybe I would have checked it out. I'm a convention junkie, and especially with something new and weird like this, I would have wanted to experience it. But if it was out of state, like say Indiana, which is only a couple hours away from me, I probably would have given this a hard pass. And there's only one good thing about having so few people there, is that the con-goers didn't have to wait in line for anything. And like I said, that's the one good thing. That's literally the one good thing. One convention volunteer said that there was no villain, no one ran off with the cash, just a convention that unfortunately won't be back because they didn't bring the bodies that they promised. And I feel like that essentially hits the nail on the head. It's unfortunate for Geek Expos that they can't take this experience and learn from it. This was their one shot, and they don't get another chance. A convention organizer thought that they had a cash cow idea, even though it was essentially untested waters, and decided to spend all of their money and energy to get these A-list celebrities, and not nearly enough on marketing. Had a grandiose idea for the number of attendees that would show up, and it failed in a spectacular way. There are a lot of horror stories coming from this convention, but this convention was a sinking ship. I have a lot of horror stories from conventions that just went fine. It's just situations I was put in. And that's what I want to hear from you guys. If you've been to a convention, what is the weirdest, strangest, or craziest thing you've ever seen or heard about happening at a convention? Anyway, that's it for this episode of The Pull List. My name is Travis. Thank you for fueling my comic book obsession, and you will see me tomorrow.